As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elsmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett, and I am here as always with my co-host Andy, who has once again got us up bright and early to do a morning episode.
Tell
us why, Andy.
Got to get your priorities right. Big games today. There's Portugal versus France and Germany, Spain. So we can't podcast any later than 2 o'clock because, in fact, hopefully we'll make the kickoff. It's 10 o'clock in the morning now. Hopefully we'll make the first 5 p.m. kickoff. You never know.
Yeah. He's old football crazy, isn't he? Our Andy.
Sorry.
I mean, England aren't even playing, and he's prioritising football over the podcast. Can you believe that?
It's just the quarterfinals. It's getting interesting now. The group stages were bad, but I think the knockouts now are quite tasty, as we found out. Did you watch? I mean, you mentioned it on the text to me this morning about old crybaby Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Did you watch? Did you watch that game, or did you see him on the?
I didn't watch the game. I didn't see the game. I watched the highlights, and my God, the fact he cried because he missed a penalty in the middle of a game as well. It's not even like he missed a penalty and it meant they went out. He missed a penalty as part of the game and cried.
And it went to extra time, so it's not even like it all is lost. That's what does my head in about Ronaldo. You can argue he's the greatest footballer of all time, which he's not, by the way. He's the second greatest footballer.
Yeah.
And as a Liverpool fan as well, because he used to play for Man United, the old rivals, straight away I prefer Messi anyway. But the thing that kills me about Ronaldo, yes, he's an unbelievable generational talent. But you watch this, next time you watch him, as soon as he knows he's done something, as soon as he's been involved in some action, straight away he does that. He's always looking at himself on the big screen, and it kills me because he's literally just been like, am I on TV? Yeah, okay, I'm on TV.
Yeah.
He's always looking at it, just absolutely drives me crazy. Those tears might have been, yes, emotion, but also maybe slightly crocodile tears because he's a businessman and he knows that will get him talked about a lot. And I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be that whenever Ronaldo's playing, it's all about him, and all he cares 100%. About is him. I don't think he cares about the team at all, and I don't think he cares about Portugal actually winning. All he cares about is whether he wins or not.
No, exactly. I couldn't agree more. He'll probably be crying again later on tonight when France smash Portugal. But
France still haven't scored.
I know. What is going on with France, by the way? Absolutely. They should have lost to who did they beat on penalties? Did they beat Slovenia or something? Who was it they beat? Oh, I can't remember now how they got through. But France have shocked me.
Didn't they get through from an own goal?
That's it. France won 1-0 against Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium won it. Yeah. Which is So they still haven't scored in open play.
You're right.
It was a penalty and an own goal.
It was a Jan Vertonghen own goal, 85th minute. Mate, I'm so surprised how much football knowledge you have got. I think you are. I don't know if you're like a secret football statistician or not, but you know more about it than me. Yeah, you're right. France still haven't scored because that was an own goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and old Mbappe. Oh, I've got a poorly face. Got to wear a mask.
Looks like Bane from. Looks like blooming Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs.
I've got to. I've got to say that mask is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
loads.
he broke his nose, didn't he, in one of the matches? I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, he's got a poorly
Oh,
nose.
poor little
No.
Killian. Poor. If you had a gun to your head and you had to support a football team, who would you say you support?
I've always supported Manchester United since I was a little kid.
Right, I've got to go. That's the end of the podcast.
Yeah,
That's the end of the podcast.
when I was tiny, my brother was a Man U supporter, so I've just always been a Man U supporter. I've been
See,
had a tour at the Man United stadium with my brother,
yeah.
and
Well,
been and watched the game there and all sorts.
look at us supporting our local teams. I blame my old man as well, because when I was about 3 or 4, there's pictures of me with the Liverpool kit in the late 80s, 88, 89, probably 89, I think. And yeah, so I ever since just was besotted by Liverpool, and I've just been a Liverpool supporter ever since. So I blame my old man for that. So I don't know. You just the same reason kids now are supporting Man City. It's like we're just glory hunters, aren't we? So yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I know people say if you support Man United, you're a glory supporter, but I supported them back in the day when they weren't winning everything.
Yeah, at the moment, you're like, you might as well support Brentford. Being a Man United fan, you probably have more. You'll have more to cheer about if you supported West Ham.
Yeah. But but like when I started supporting them, it was back in the day when they were challenging Leeds up at the top of the table and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, Leeds.
So, before the Premiership and everything. Yeah.
That's
how
when Eric
old we are.
Cantona played for Leeds. Yeah. Good times. Well, I forgot to mention my morning coffee. I'm matching you because at the race last Sunday, you presented me with a white box. And I nearly did my Brad Pitt from Seven. What's in the box? What's in the box? And it turned out to be a Running the Red Line mug. Look at that beauty. So we're little mug twins now. And it's, I love it. So yeah, it's awesome to drink from the mug that we're podcasting from. So yeah.
From your face.
From my face. Yeah. It's a bit weird, actually. Slightly weird, but it's good. But so yeah, what about you then? What's your week look like since we last chatted? We're going to talk about Sunday in a bit of detail.
Well, this week has actually been a bit different to normal because on Monday I went for my recovery run after Droitwich, and my calf was super tight.
Was it?
So I have taken this week really easy. Well, a bit easier than normal. So I did like an easy run instead of session on Tuesday, and then I did a steady run instead of session last night. So yeah. I've put my sensible head on for once and decided not to just push through it. And there was a Vets League meeting on Wednesday where I was down to race one of the 1500s, but I decided not to, just because I thought it was either a case of sit out the meeting on Wednesday and miss that race, or possibly sit out for the rest of the season and miss the rest of the races if I'd have aggravated my calf and made it into an injury rather than a niggle. So
yeah. Isn't it funny the way you've got in your body, you've got like two of everything most of the time, but only one of them hurts a lot of the time because you're either underdeveloped in that muscle group, or that is like you're overcompensating or undercompensating or whatever it is. Isn't it strange the way that one calf will hurt more than the other? Is that the same old story for you? Do you normally get pain down?
Yeah. I mean, when I was injured at the end of last year, it was all my right hip, and all my glute and my right hip was terrible. And then when I started running again in January to get ready for the marathon, all the pain disappeared from the right-hand side and shifted into the left. And I'd obviously been compensating and shifted it over to the other side. But that's the thing. You chase things around your body, because if something's hurting and you carry on training and running, you're going to be compensating for that thing that hurts and putting more pressure on something else. So you'll just chase injuries or little niggles around your body all the time. Unless you stop and do nothing for a couple of months, you're always going to be chasing things around.
Yeah. I found something from last week. Like you've just said about your calves, my calves on Monday morning felt destroyed because I raced for the first time. I didn't race that hard, but I didn't take it easy. And the course, as we know, I think when you look at that elevation, which was for me about 250 meters, for you, it'd be like 600-700 foot. I don't think that, not even that. It doesn't tell the whole story of how hilly that course is. But my calves, both of them, was so sore, and I couldn't work out if that was because I've worn my carbons for the first time in a few weeks, or it was because of the hills, or both. I couldn't really place.
It was probably a mixture of the two, to be honest.
But
probably mainly the hills, but
yeah, because I actually genuinely found I felt worse after Sunday's race than I did the previous weekend of doing all those miles in the Cotswolds.
Yeah.
3 back-to-back ultra marathons actually felt like recovery runs, just very long ones. And that 13-mile race last week felt so much harder. So it's such a road racing. You've probably heard this time and time again, but road racing is the hardest thing, especially a marathon, really, is the hardest thing you'll probably ever do with running, isn't it? Trail running, in comparison, is easier. That's controversial opinion.
Yeah. I suppose it depends how hard and how fast you're racing on the trail. Because I would say when you're racing up a mountain, that's probably just as hard.
Probably might be. Yeah, I might have not really given that too much thought saying that. But in my experience, I don't know what it is about trail racing and ultras, but you almost feel like they give you sort of like a warm hug every time there's a hill, and the race environment, or your mentality almost sort of says, well, you don't have to try that hard, Andy, if you don't want to. So you can just walk this bit. But imagine thinking that during, 22 miles in, knowing the PB's on in a marathon. No chance. You literally put yourself through hell in a road race. But the mentality just seems to shift, especially if you're, a little bit of I wouldn't say I'm a 50-50 runner, because I don't do 50% trail and to road, but I do love my trails. But that's just the way my mentality shifts. But I wonder if you're a road racer and also a trail racer. Yeah, I wonder if you could probably say, no, hang on a minute. Trail racing is arguably harder. But in my experience, I always take the trails easier because technically they're harder. So that's why I take the races easier and the runs easier.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe go up to Jasmine Paris at the end of the Bartley Marathons and go, yeah, but you didn't run a marathon, did you?
Oh, Jasmine, can I just stop you there? Jasmine, get your hand off that yellow gate a minute. I'm just going to show you my Strava. I've just done 200 meters of elevation in Droitwich, and it does not tell the whole story, Jasmine. Next time, you come and do Droitwich and you tell me that the Barkley Marathons is harder, because you'll be wrong. Because the Droitwich Half Marathon's a lot harder than the Barkley Marathons. A lot harder. What are you out of breath for, Jasmine? You made the cut-off. Are you happy with yourself? Oh, get out my sight. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, I was going to say, while we're on that subject, about niggles and injuries, I just wanted to quickly mention a mate of ours, Rich Evans, who's been on both of our YouTube channels a lot. He's
Beardy Rich.
Beardy Rich, as he's
or
I've
Red Cap Rich,
Red Cap
or
Rich, yeah,
or
yeah, or just
Rich from It's on Andy.
yeah, Rich from It's on Andy has, as he was literally called once at the Birmingham half. Rich, we were having a chat earlier, and he said that he's feeling a bit of a summertime. He's got the summertime injury blues, and he thinks that everything sort of the springtime load has caught up with him. And he's sort of said that he has had, if I can just quickly find his description of what has gone on. He said the knee, he's got a bad knee, basically, and he doesn't really know where it's come from. The knee's had a few IT band issues, ITB issues, is that IT band issues, ITB? I don't know.
Probably. Yeah.
Since I started running, but post marathon, it's felt a bit iffy at times. Over the past month, I've had sharp pains in the front outside lower than the kneecap. Makes me think that maybe the meniscus. It's usually not that bad when running, but might get it checked out, as I'm worried it will suddenly get worse. I've had a tight hamstring that's on that side too since after the marathon, and he obviously ran the marathon with me when we did Newport together. But here's the difference, right? Because the week after I did the half marathon, and I did it fairly easily, but fairly not to the best of my ability, but not easily. But he did a hard 10K, and I think he's about a 38, 39 minute PB 10K runner, and I think he did it in about 39:40 or something. I think he got under. I don't think it was a PB, but he just ran a hard 10K, because he has said 10K is his favorite distance, and he cannot physically resist running hard at a race, especially a 10K race. I don't seem to suffer with that. I can turn up to a race and maybe pull back a little bit if I need to. But a lot of people will go, no, it's a race. I'm racing this. There is no way I'm not giving it 110%. I, like last week, Droitwich and Birmingham a few months ago, I can quite happily say, yeah, I'm going to pull back a little bit. But I understand why people want to just go, hell for leather, because it's a race. And why not?
Yeah.
But I wonder if that 10K that he did hard was maybe more detrimental than the actual marathon, because the body obviously has nowhere near recovered after a marathon. And if he's run a hard 10K, maybe that's where some of his issues might have come from. But yeah, anyway, Dr. Brett, you seem to always be injured. What you've probably done race after race after race when you maybe shouldn't have. What have you sort of found from your running journey about injuries and when to run and when not to run and that sort of stuff?
So I will hold my hands up and say I have been very silly in the past and raced way too much and overloaded my body, and it's broken down. So you do have to be sensible. And I actually have been sensible, Brett, a few times this year, which is a change. So, like after Manchester, I basically had a full week off. I didn't do any running at all for a week. Whereas the year before, I got straight back into training because I was worried about losing fitness ready for Birmingham. And then that's when everything went wrong. So I have been more sensible this year of letting my body recover, because they say at race pace. So if you go and do a race in a race situation at race pace, it takes a day per mile for your body to fully recover before you should push your body again to race pace.
Yeah.
So after a marathon, really, you should take 26 days before you fully race again.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people probably won't do, but you should do. So him doing a race 7 days after the marathon probably didn't help at all.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's got a bit of runner's knee, which is basically an overuse injury or niggle. And a lot of the time it's down to like knee problems a lot of the time are down to quad strength. So your quads, your thigh muscles, especially there's one particular muscle on your quad which is like your teardrop shape muscle. So when you tense your quads, just above your knee on the inside of your leg, you've got a muscle that's shaped like a teardrop.
Right.
And that muscle is one of the main muscles that hold your kneecap where it should be and holds it floating. So basically, you've got your knee joint, and then you've got all your ligaments and tendons and all your bits and bobs. Then you've got your kneecap that floats above there.
Yeah.
And that kneecap is attached to that quad. And that quad and that strength in that quad is what keeps it floating above.
Yeah.
When that muscle starts to get tired or weakened, it stops holding your kneecap as floating and starts to rest against the joint. And then it starts to grind and rub. So it either inflames your ligaments and tendons or causes problems in your knee. So a lot of the time, knee problems are from weakness elsewhere in your leg, and it's not actually your knee that's at fault. And I had, so I don't know if I've said to you before, but when I had all my knee problems, when I stopped running back in 2017, was it 2017, 2018, somewhere around there, I properly did my patella tendon. So it was the tendon underneath my patella. So it wasn't like the bit underneath, it was a bit lower than my and I fully did that. So I had to have like a couple of years off running to fully like repair it, just not doing anything. But one of the biggest rehab things to get it better was strengthening up the quads and strengthening up the other muscles around your knee, so that everything was strong to help support your knee, basically.
With that injury, did you self-diagnose, or were you told by a professional you need to take
I went and had loads of physio. I went down to the doctors with it, got referred to the hospital, had physio down at the hospital, had private physio, had acupuncture, had all sorts trying to fix it, but it just wouldn't fix without lots of rest. So it was like a proper
reset.
I'd really done it bad. But normally with runner's knee, it is just a case of strengthening up the rest of the muscles to alleviate that pain that's being caused by the issues in the knee. But and this is something which I'm sure you are very good at, and I suspect Rich is very good at as well, and that's ignoring S&C.
Well, Rich, take it from two people that do S&C religiously here. You need to do your S&C, mate.
Yeah,
I've been we do it non-stop, and you know, that they do at Pure Gym. They actually call me Andy S&C Maguire. They call me Andy the Body, Andy hit training Maguire. That's what they call me. They you have to get sure you're I don't do any S&C, you know that, everyone knows that. But my Valencia, I'm basically Valencia. I'm starting I'll talk about this later, but in couple of weeks time, I'm starting my 16-week of Valencia training. I'm starting to make a routine, but we'll talk about that in a week or two.
Yeah. So S&C is the thing that keeps me from breaking down. I'm 100% sure of it, because every time I stop doing S&C, that's when I get injured. So it's very easy to skip S&C and just think, I'll go and do a few extra miles to make my mileage up for the week. But those few extra miles, so for instance, if you took half an hour of running, how many miles are you going to run in that half an hour?
At full pace, 5 max, probably for me.
That's at full pace. So
if
it's just a normal steady run, 3 miles.
3 mile. Yeah.
3.5 miles.
Yeah.
So if you were willing to take that half an hour, and instead of running those 3 miles and having 3 extra miles on your mileage, and do
Yeah.
that half an hour in the gym or at home on a mat with a dumbbell, that's
Yeah.
all you need. Because pretty much all of my S&C, I do all body weight stuff apart from one exercise, which I use a dumbbell. Other than that, it's all body weight. So if you took that half an hour and put that into S&C, it would transform your recovery, transform
Mm.
your running and your strength in your running and your injury prevention.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most overlooked things by runners, because as runners, I don't want to be in the gym. I don't want to go and do S&C, but that's why I've kept my gym membership. So after a session on a Tuesday and Thursday, I go into the gym because it forces me to do my S&C. Whereas if I didn't have a gym membership, I'd finish my run home and go, oh, I can't be bothered with S&C now. So it sort of forces me to do it. And
I'm so guilty of that, because I look at my Strava graph and I look at what I plan to run that week, and Laura says it to me all the time. She says, just swap a run for an S&C session. Just
that's
use the
all you need to
stairs
do.
to do some calf raises, you idiot. Just do some basic things, you know. And I'm like, no, got to go up, got to make sure I get my 15K in, or I've got to go make sure I do my 10 miles. And by the way, I've just done the maths, by the way. You asked me how many miles I can run in half an hour. If I do 5 miles, that's 6-minute miles. This is why you can't ask me in miles, because I can't run 5 miles at 6 minutes a mile. What's that? That's like 18-minute 5K pace. That's like 3:20 a K or something. I can't run that.
Yeah.
So yeah, please don't ask me maths questions, especially maths questions in miles.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just say 3 miles in half an hour I can run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so guilty of that, and I know I need to stop. I need to change my. Maybe going into this Valencia block, that's one of the new things I can carry across, is slightly lower volume, but maybe an extra session or two, or any S&C.
Yeah.
And I might even have to join a gym, which is something I remember my thought process, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. I run because it's free. It's not free. When you add up everything you've spent to just get out the house and go for a run, you might as well have gone to the gym. So, I mean, I don't know what gyms are these days. I remember back in the day, they used to be about 40 quid a month or 30 quid a month. I mean, they're probably north of that now,
I think I pay 36 quid a month.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's for what the value you get from it.
Yeah,
that's
good
value, I guess.
Yeah, and that's a peak membership, so I can go anytime during the day, and it also includes the swimming pool if I did want to use the swimming pool. So I don't think that's too bad. But having that membership, because I know I'm paying for it, it forces me to go after and get my money's worth, basically. So it forces me after a session on a Tuesday and Thursday. So 2 times a week, I go into the gym after a session and I do half an hour on the cross trainer just to loosen everything up and do a bit of recovery on the cross trainer, because you're still getting that running motion. Okay, it's not exactly the same as running motion, but it's the same sort of movement, but you're not getting that impact of running. So you're getting in a little bit more cardio stuff, but without the impact of running. So that's helping the body just loosen
something
up.
You can't do at home, isn't it? You don't have access to that at home. Yeah.
And then I do half an hour of S&C, like after that half an hour on the cross trainer. And it's basically, as I say, mainly body weight exercises with, so I do reverse lunges, and then the only exercise I do with a weight is I get a 10 kilogram dumbbell and do goblet squats, which is basically a squat, but you're holding a dumbbell. That's what makes it a goblet squat rather than a squat. And then I do like a plank position, but leg raises. then do a plank, then do some glute bridges, and then single leg glute bridges, then do a hamstring bridge, then do some mountain climbers, then do I don't even know what their name is, but basically you're on all fours, so on your hands and knees, and then you put your right hand out in front of you and your left leg straight out behind you. So you're just balancing on your right knee and your left hand, and hold that for a few seconds, and then swap over to your left and right leg. And then I do some side leg raises as well to work the glutes and the hips. And that's pretty much all I do.
A silly question, but and I know the answer to this, but do you do this in front of everyone? Like, do you have any reservations about how you look doing this? Because obviously, when you go to a gym, we're human beings, and we're by nature we're very conformist, aren't we? And if you see someone, doing the press or doing bicep curls or whatever, you think that's what you have to do, or using the running machine. Do you ever feel like when you go to the gym, you feel a bit silly, or is that worn off a long, long time ago? You just go and you do what you want.
I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
If someone thinks I look silly, ace, but I'm going to be a faster runner from doing that, so I don't care whether I look silly.
Yeah. Because I think if I joined a gym, I would feel quite vulnerable doing those kind of things in front of a load of people. I think it's the fear of not knowing what you're doing. And I think you don't have that because you know what you're doing.
I think that is the main issue with people feeling uncomfortable at a gym is they're not sure what they should be doing or how to do things properly. But once you know what you're doing and what your routine needs, then that sort of goes out the window. I mean, I don't care anyway. I don't care what people think of me. I mean, you shouldn't either. We walk down the road and talk into a camera and talk to ourselves. So that's the silliest thing you can do, and that doesn't bother you. So why you would feel in a gym where you're supposed to go and do exercises, why you would feel uncomfortable doing exercises, I'm not sure. But I don't really care. But I can understand why people have that initial fear, because there's a lot of gyms where a lot of meatheads go, and they go and work their upper body so they look like a triangle. Don't bother working out their legs. And it's very gym bro culture, and it's not the nicest of places to go. But at the gym where I go at the Abbey Stadium, upstairs where there's the treadmills and the cross trainers and some like weights machines and things like that, and then the area for doing S&C and like free weights. Downstairs, there's like the gym bros section where it's all the squat racks and all of the like
free weights
proper,
and stuff.
Proper weight stuff. So all of those type of guys are downstairs, and they're not upstairs where us people who don't really do that stuff are. So the culture in the gym is a bit better than some gyms you can go to. But I mean, as I say though, if you've got a dumbbell or a kettlebell, you don't need a gym. You can do everything I do at home. So it's not like it's being at a gym is the most important thing. It's getting the S&C done. And as I say, one of the reasons I keep my gym membership is because it forces me to do my S&C, because I'm paying for that gym membership. So I'm going to go and use the gym because I'm paying. And it's not, I'm not going to have that tendency to get home and just sit down and not bother.
So when you're sort of let's just go back to like marathon training, for example, and you're sort of growing that week 12, 13 or whatever it is, you'll be peaking around about then. Does your S&C change slightly as well, or is it
Not
always
really, no.
bare minimum 3 days a week. You'll do very, very similar routines. You won't be, I know you don't really lift weights as such, but will you lift anything heavy, or will we do more sets and reps towards when you're peaking for the marathon?
Not necessarily, no. Just it's all about, for me, it's all about maintenance and maintaining that strength rather than building more strength. Because the type of running you do as well builds strength. If you go out and do a load of hills, that's like a strength workout anyway. And my weekly mileage always includes quite a bit of hill running just because of where I live. So I'm building strength on the hills as well as when I'm in the gym doing S&C. But it's more of a maintenance thing for me. Because when I first started at the start of the year, I wasn't using a weight on the goblet squats because I hadn't reached the point where I felt I needed a weight because I was building up strength, and I've got to the point now where I can use 10 kilograms. It doesn't really feel that bad. I could up the weight if I wanted to, but I'm happy with where it is to maintain, and I seem to be keeping myself healthy and not on that injury bench because of what I'm doing. So if I keep that up, that should be okay. But as long as I do those 2 times a week, then we should be all right.
So here's a question then. If you didn't pay for the gym, would you still do it at home? Do you need the gym?
No, I have done several times when the gym's not been open or it's been closed early and things like that. I just go home and do it. But so it's just that extra bit of motivation having the gym, knowing that it's paid for. But I mean, when it was Manchester 2022, I didn't join a gym. I did all my S&C at home, but I did too much because I was doing it at home. I did it every single night. And then because I did it every single night, I think I did too much because my body wasn't having time to recover from what I was doing. Whereas I've now got that happy medium of 2 times a week. Your body's recovering from the strength at training as well as the running because you're having time in between them rather than just pounding it every single day. So doing it every day, I was doing it on my rest days as well, which to me now, a sensible Brett head on, is a very silly thing to do because rest days are there for a reason. They're for you to rest, not to do more work and strain your body.
Well, just a quick shout out to someone who listens to the podcast called 30-something Mike B. He raced a trail race, an ultra recently called The Wall. Don't know if you've heard of that. It's up in, I think it's Carlisle to Newcastle. So it's along Hadrian's Wall. I can't remember the distance, but it's far. It's like 70 miles, I think.
Oh, wow.
So it's over 100K. It's, I think you're doing well if you've done it within, I don't know, 18 hours or something. So I think it's not an easy race at all. And Mike did it, absolutely smashed it, made a really good video about it and put on his Instagram the day after, or maybe 2 days after. He said, finished the ultra, feeling great. And it was a picture of him back in the gym or back out on the road. I can't remember what it was exactly, but he basically said S&C works because he finished the ultra marathon and felt on that Monday morning or day or 2 after, he felt like he was ready for the next thing, ready for the next challenge, ready to get back out there. So I know it works. And I know I'm an absolute plonker for not doing it. I'm just one of those people in life who finds it easy to moan about stuff and I feel like I'm taking on too much. So I need to get rid of things. Right, I'll get rid of S&C. I won't do that because that'll be too stressful. I need to prioritize the running. Whereas I know what I need to do. I need to start thinking about the bigger picture and start chipping things away like little runs. Do I need to do 5 easy runs in a week? No, you probably don't. I could probably get rid of 1 easy run or maybe another easy run and replace it for an S&C session. And again, the S&C session, as you'll tell me, doesn't have to be intense, does it? It doesn't have to be And it rarely is. It rarely has to be pushing yourself to your limit. Like you say, it's just a maintenance thing. And I know it for me, it's just a case of building that routine. And in August, when I start my 16-week block for Valencia, I'm going to do an S&C. I'm going to do S&C alongside, and I'm holding myself to account. I'm going to do it.
I'm going to get you into the gym with me and show you my routine and get you doing it so you can be doing it wherever you need to do it, whether that's at home or at a gym or whatever.
Are we going to be upstairs or are we going to be downstairs in the Roy room?
We're going to be in the Meathead Gym Bros section, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be
smashing our protein
in front of the mirror. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing.
Having a bit of me time. Just,
exactly.
In front of the mirror. Yeah, man. Sounds good.
The other thing I wanted to mention, actually, before I say that, I will speak to Rich, though, because there's some really simple, easy exercises you can do to strengthen your quads and that teardrop quad just whilst you're sat at your desk or whilst you're working and stuff like that. So I'll have a chat with Rich and let him know some of those, and hopefully that'll sort some of his pain and issues out. But the other thing, which is very important, which I also know you don't do very much, is stretching.
Oh, I thought you were going to say think before you speaking. I know. Same. Guilty.
I religiously, after every run I do, as soon as I get home, first thing I do is do stretches and then make sure that I've stretched all of my legs out so that they can go back to recovery mode rather than being tight and taut. And static stretching obviously is for post exercise. Dynamic stretching is for before exercise. So the stretches you do before a run are just as important as the stretches you do after a run. So when you're doing all of your what is the word gone out of my head?
Drills.
There we go. Thank you. Drills. When you're doing all your drills before a run or a race, they're just as important because you need to get your muscles into go mode rather than I'm just going to stand on that start line having done nothing and just fire all my muscles as fast as they possibly can. You need to get them prepared and wake them up first. So
do you know my favorite drill is that you do is the bag drop drill. So you drop your bag at 8:56 a.m. and the race starts at 9. So you've got 4 minutes to run half a mile and get in the front of the queue. That's the best drill.
And then do some really quick ones on the start line just before the gun goes. That's what I mean. Those warm up drills are really important. And before I go out for a run from home, I get on the foam roller and roll out my calves, my quads, my hamstrings, my glutes. Before I do any run ever. So that type of stretching is just as important as when you get home from a run and doing your static stretching. Because basically your muscles, when you're running or doing any exercise, your muscles are contracting, and the power and the speed you're getting from your running is from your muscles pulling and contracting really tight. So throughout a race, all your muscles are doing are firing to pull tight and then pull tight and then pull tight and pull tight. So when you finish a run, your muscles are in that contracted state. So you need to do those static stretches to pull them back to their relaxed state and that elasticity so that they can go back into recovery mode of being that extended state. If you don't stretch, they're stuck in that contracted state and then they get cold and they're just stuck there, and they're not allowed to relax properly, and that's when you start getting all sorts of problems.
I imagine that doesn't help with like build up of lactic acid and things as well, does it? Because does lactic acid all sit in those constricted muscles and stuff?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons a sports massage is really good, because it gets rid of all of that crap out of your muscles. But that's also why you don't do static stretching before you run. So static stretching is always for after running or after exercise, whereas dynamic stretching, where it mimics the motions of running, that's for before. So if you do static stretching before you run, you're extending all your muscles and getting them into that relaxed state to then go and run, where they instantly contract, and that's just a recipe for disaster and an injury waiting to happen. So dynamic stretching, where you're mimicking the movement you're going to be doing in that race, brilliant. That's what drills are there for.
Yeah.
But the static stretching, always leave that for afterwards.
I think this is just before we move on. By the way, I forgot to mention the Riddle Me This. Again, 45 minutes in. I was going to do this in the first. I was going to do this in the first 30 seconds. So before your riddle, I was going to leave you with this. I don't like to learn the easy way. I don't know why.
No.
You're telling me this, and I'm going, need to do S&C. I won't. I should, but I just because here's a left field example about me, right? I crashed my car into a wall once, only going 10 mile an hour, because I didn't realise you shouldn't really drive very fast down a hill in snow. So now I don't drive very fast down hills in the snow, because my little Vauxhall Golf, my Volkswagen Golf, didn't do too well in the snow. Probably about 15, 20 mile an hour, actually. Come over this crest of the hill. Do you know Stoke Prior down by the Queen's Head in Bromsgrove?
Yeah.
Came over a little humpback bridge there. And I thought, the car's doing all right here. All the villagers were walking and they were like, slow down. I was like, nah, fine. And there was a hard left turn. And luckily, there's nothing coming around the corner. And I just didn't turn left. I just carried on going. And I went into a little, farmer's stone wall. And luckily, Volkswagen Golfs are like tanks, so I didn't really feel too much of the impact. But I learned my lesson that day, and hopefully I won't have a driving down the hill in snow incident.
Yeah,
but I was like 19 then. I was a bit of a nipper. I didn't really know not to do stupid things like that.
But that's something I was going to say is you've never really had a real niggle or injury, have you? Yet.
Touch wood, no. And I think that could be partly to do with self-preservation. And without getting too deep and meaningful and philosophical, I don't know if I push myself too hard. That's why. Like, you're doing 2 hard sessions a week minimum. I'm not. Even in your off season, which is like, you're not in marathon training at the moment, you're still pushing your body to the limit. I'm not doing that at the moment. If anything, at the moment, I'm feeling like I'm not hardly doing much running at all. And I don't feel too guilty for it, actually, to be honest, because I'm actually quite enjoying a bit of a break from it. But I think me, in general, maybe I'm not pushing myself to my full potential. And again, that's something I'm going to be looking to do in Valencia. And I know the S&C it all ties in together, doesn't it? It's all going to tie in together. And, it will help me recover and strengthen for those hard 5K sessions or those hard, tempo thresholds or whatever that normally would push you towards injury. So, that's probably the biggest takeaway I need to take away is push myself a bit more.
Yeah, but make sure you do that S&C. So when you are pushing, you aren't pushing yourself over the limit. You are pushing yourself to the limit, not over.
Yeah.
Because that's when things start to go wrong.
Yeah. Well,
you can't have ultimate performance without ultimate recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess any athlete would tell you that, wouldn't they? It's just not. It's not. You can't have your cake and eat it.
No.
Are you ready for Your Riddle Me This.
I am.
That I should have
Riddle
done
me this.
50
Riddle
minutes
me
ago.
that.
Right. Okay. Here you go then. I will reveal the answer at the end or straight away if you get it, because this one's easier than last week.
Okay.
Here we go. Riddle me this. What is stronger than steel but can't handle the sun? It's a terrible segment for radio, this, because Brett is just like sort of frowning and sort of looking down if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
And it's just going to go silent for about, however long it takes him to get it.
What is stronger than steel but can't handle the sun?
Yeah.
Is the wording important in this?
No, it's an actual noun. It's a thing. It's not like you have to be clever to get this. You can be stupid and get it. I got it. Then again, I did read the answer, so that's why I got it. I wouldn't have got it.
Yeah,
I read the questions and get the answers.
I'm just wondering: is the handle in can't handle the sun important?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing to do with like a clever play on words or anything. No, it's literally. It will all make sense when I tell you. So shall I leave you with that to ponder on?
Yeah.
What is stronger than steel but can't handle the sun? Just while Brett's writing that down and be thinking on that for a while, we thought now would be a good time because we are at the start of July now. It's our first podcast in the second half of the year. We thought it'd be a good time to take you through the first 6 months of our year and sort of recap how we got to where we are now and the races we've done and the different distances we've tried and how things have gone.
Yeah. So I think you go first and let's start in January. And should we do each month as we go?
Okay. Yeah.
So you start off with January.
January 2024 was when I started training from not Manchester, what's it called? Newport. And I thought it'd be a really good idea to start off with an ultra. So I ran with Sam Bauer and Mac, and we ran from Birmingham to Worcester, and we ran along the canal. And it wasn't a race, but that was my only thing from January I did of any sort of, because I've never ever done a race in January. We've just never done one. So this is as close as I got. It took us 7 hours and 18 minutes to run from Birmingham along the canal to Worcester. And that the whole challenge is it's kind of should be a race because it's almost it is exactly 50 kilometers, 31 miles or something like that. We got the train into Birmingham and then we ran home. It's simple as that. And it's the good thing about Brum to Worcester is it's downhill all the way. And if you know that area, there's a nice section. Well, basically, there's a massive section of that canal that's like the world record holder for like the amount of locks in a small distance around Tardybig, which is sort of halfway. And running to Birmingham from Worcester, you would feel that section quite considerably. So we chose to do it from Birmingham. But yeah, that was a wicked day out, and that was actually my second fastest ever 50k. So that was good fun. So that was pretty much, apart from training for the marathon, that was the closest I got to a race.
Okay. January for me, that did look epic though. Your ultra.
It was wicked. It was so much fun. Yeah, we did it about the 3rd or 4th of January, like the first few days of the year, and it was really good.
Was it you who had a fall?
We all did. It was Mac. Mac had the worst fall.
Oh yes.
Mac's fall was again, I shouldn't laugh because I think he got slightly hurt from it. But when you see it was like a landslide and a tree had gone across the path. So we had to run up this bank and down it. In July, no problem at all because the ground is rock hard right now. But it doesn't even come across on the video. But that little bank was like ice. It might as well have been like it was so slippery, that mud, to get up and down. So we managed to get up it, And Sam, by the way, just glazed up and down it like a blooming mountain goat. But me and Mac didn't find it so easy. Funnily enough, we were both wearing the same shoes that day. We were both wearing Nike Pegasus Trails. So I wonder if that's got something to do with it. But he went down before me, and he put his hand on a tree to stabilize himself. And he took the tree out. He literally uprooted the tree and literally nearly fell in the canal because he was on his way down a 45-degree steep bank. And luckily, he managed to stop himself on another tree route. But it was just comical the way he tried to stop himself on this tree, had the tree in his hand. And I was trying to stabilize myself, and I just could not. You just couldn't stand up on that mud. But yeah,
Brilliant.
that was a good day out. It was a good day out, that one.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, I started the year in a completely different way to I did last year. I started injured and coming back from injury. So the first thing I did in the year was we went and run Wire Forest Parkrun.
Yes.
So the first time I'd run Wire Forest, but I took it nice and easy because I was only just getting back into it. And then it was basically trying to start the build for Manchester. So it was a very different build to the ones I've had before, but worked really well. But during January, I actually did a couple of cross-country races, which I probably shouldn't have done, coming back from injury and going straight into that. But I did the Birmingham League Race 3, which was Redditch. So our hometown race, organised by B&R at Ipsley Meadows, which is always a tough one. That was on the 13th of Jan. And then on the 27th of January, it was the Midlands Cross Country Champs at Newbold Common in Leamington. And that was the one where they'd changed the route slightly, and I didn't realise they'd put a big hill in the middle of the lap. And we had to do, I think it was 3 laps, and it was horrendous. But so my only racing really for January was cross country, but I wasn't racing to my full potential because I was still slowly coming back from that hip and glute injury.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember your hip was, because that's when we first started this podcast as well, wasn't it? The first week of January. So It's crazy to think this podcast is 6 months old already. So because I remember we started it at the same on week 1 of both of our trainings for Manchester and Newport, didn't we?
So, yeah. Was it the end of week 1 or was it the end of week 2 we started? I don't know. Yeah, but it was start of January, wasn't it? Because our inception of the pod was at Wire Forest.
Yes, I remember getting in the car and you said, "Do you want to start a podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." Didn't really think about how to do it, or we just did it.
I found it brilliant because I've been thinking about doing a podcast or something like this for a while, and I was trying to work out how to do it. And I thought I don't want to do it on my own. I'd rather do it with someone so you can have conversations and things. And after Wire Forest, we finished Parkrun, walking back to the cars, and I went, I've had an idea of doing a podcast and just chatting, like running and just random stuff. Do you fancy it? And you were like, maybe, yeah, I'll have a think about it. And then the next day you were like, so if we do this and we do this and we do this, we could start the podcast then. And if we could do it like this. And what do you think about this? And I was like,
what do you think if we do a quiz at the end?
But I was like, this is perfect because I've been thinking about it for ages. And then all of a sudden I've got somebody who's really enthusiastic about doing it as well. And I was like, this is perfect. Ace, this would be brilliant. So
I think around ambitious ideas, I just become like a little puppy. And I just, okay, let's do it. We could do this, we could do that. And we're like, I know I need to chill out a lot. But I'd probably come up with some silly ideas. But that's how it basically started in the car park of the Wire Forest. Yeah. And then it took us a grand total of about 24 hours to get it started. And I kind of like the way we do it because it's quite informal, isn't it? We just sort of chat and we just see how long we can chat for. And some days we've come to do like a podcast, and we've like neither of us have done a race, or neither of us have had a remarkable week, and we chat for an hour and 45 minutes about running. So out of that hour and 45, I don't know how much of it is about running and how much of it is about Henry VIII. I don't know. But
yeah.
Brilliant.
But
February.
Yeah, what did you get up to in February?
So February was my first race of the year in before the 20th. It was on the 4th of February. I did the Warwick Half Marathon. Now, I did it last year.
Yes.
And got a PB. And so I thought, right, I'll have a go at it this year, and I'll see if I can get another PB. And it didn't quite go that way, because that was my infamous carb loading issue. When I thought, right, night before, 8:30 the night before, tell you what I'll do, I'll get all the pasta that we have in the house and I'll put it in my belly, because that'll be really good. That'll be some really good carbs, really perfect training for it.
And then while I'm running, I'll wonder why I've got a dodgy tummy, and why I've got these pains going on, and I feel like I need the loo. I don't know why.
I was on the car park doing a warm up with Rich, and I was struggling on the warm up, and I was thinking, this ain't going to go well. This is not going to go well. And then within the first kilometre, I started getting shooty arse, and you get like, oh, you run and you think, oh God, that's not a good feeling. That's not a good feeling. You're like, oh, you sort of throw yourself backwards. And, oh my God, can I hang on? Can I hang on? But basically, for 30, I ended up doing it in a fairly respectable, for me, time of 1 hour 44. At the time, I wanted 1 hour 39. And looking at my splits here, they're hilarious. It's just the perfect positive split. I went out for 10K at not even PB pace. I was 20 seconds off the pace already. And then I just got slower and slower and slower and slower. And I finished the race slower than marathon pace, and it evened itself out to marathon pace. And at the end of it, the same thing happened to my mate Sam Bauer, and we both said, well, yeah, it was just a marathon pace training run, wasn't it? So Warwick didn't go so well. But later on in the month, I did the Bourton on the Water 10K.
Yes.
And that's one of the fastest local ones for us Midlanders. It's a little bit south of the Midlands. It's in Gloucestershire in the Cotswolds. But I went down and did a 10K down there, notoriously fast, quick course. And I got a big PB that day. I did 44:20. So I got a 20-second PB that day.
Nice.
I think it was almost a minute PB at the time. So managed to do quite well that day. And they were my two races for Feb.
Excellent. My Feb was basically just marathon training and one cross-country race, which was the final race of the Birmingham League, which was at Top Barn Farm in Worcester.
Yeah.
Ended up being a bit of a boring course. 4 laps around there was one little slight incline that they'd put into the course just to put a bit of variety in there rather than running around a flat field. But it was decent, and B&R were crowned Division 2 champions, which was awesome, which means we are in Division 1 this year. So competition is going to be way harder, and we're going to all be way further down the field. But
you can be like Ronaldo. You can be crying your eyes out. Cristiano Ellsworth.
Yeah, and then that was good to have that, but I still wasn't back to my full fitness by that point, and I didn't run the type of race I wanted to run. I ran better than I thought I would, but it was harder than I wanted it to be at that pace. So February was going well with marathon training, but racing just wasn't where I wanted it to be. But no, it was good. But that was my only race in February.
Yeah. Well, March, we both raced. I did 2 races. We both raced the Fission 20 miler, which
Yes, we did.
was down in Gloucestershire again. And that, for both of us, we had very similar experiences, didn't we? We both finished it feeling great. We were both sort of 3-4 weeks away from our goal race, which was the marathon. And for me, it just went really, really well. I decided to do that race because it was 20 miles, but I split it up into Ks. So I did 10K easy. Yeah, I think I did 10K easy. Then I did another 10K steady. And then the last 12K, I did it marathon pace. And looking at my splits, it was the complete opposite to Warwick. So I started off nice and easy there, and then it just gets progressively faster.
Nice.
So if you look at my workout analysis, it just goes up. So that was maybe to this day the best race I've ever done. So I really, really like
wow.
that. Just that I mean, I didn't race it, but I remember the fulfilling feeling I got from it just gave me so much confidence. And from that date, I couldn't wait to take Newport on. I had a feeling all I'd have to do is just not eat 400 kilos of pasta the night before, and I should do okay in Newport.
Yeah.
And my other race I did that month was the Nottingham 10K. We went up to Beardy Rich's Manor, and we did the 10K around Nottingham, which was incredibly hilly. And I ran really well that day. I actually ran 15 seconds off a PB that day. And there were no hills at all in Bolton. So that makes me think how beatable my 10K PB is. But I was at almost the peak of my powers back then in March. I felt really good. I was about 9 or 10 weeks into my training. Everything felt good. Racing felt really nice. The weather wasn't too hot. It was kind of mild at the time. So yeah, I remember feeling really good in March. And at the end of March, I went to do a 30K training run, 20-mile training run off my own back in
yes, you did,
doing loops in the Forest of Dean, which was going really well until the last lap. And I remember just getting this weird dizzy feeling. So just went home and ate 40 kilos of pasta and was fine again.
So my Fission 20 mile, I did it slightly different. I did broke the 20 miles into 5-mile blocks, and the plan was to do 5 mile at 7:25 a mile pace, 5 mile at 7:10 a mile pace, 5 mile at 6:55 a mile pace, and then the last 5 mile at marathon pace, which was 6:40 a mile.
Yeah.
So I was knocking 15 seconds a mile off every 5 miles. And I pretty much overcooked every single block and didn't run a single mile at the pace I was supposed to run, but still managed to do a really nice progression run. And I was super happy because you can see the different 5-mile blocks all the way through. And I even managed to finish with that on the 20th mile. So the last mile I finished with a 6-minute mile.
Lovely.
So way faster than marathon pace. So it was. I don't think it could have gone any better on that race. So yeah, that was a really good confidence booster for Manchester.
I think we both sort of were waxing lyrical about the Fission 20, weren't we? Because it falls at a really good time for most people's marathon prep. It's a really gentle and generous course in terms of it being very flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the whole thing was a fairly small event, and just really, really well worth doing.
Definitely.
I think it does sell out fairly quick. So if you do see it advertised in the new year and you're local to this area and you can get down to Gloucestershire, I definitely, because I think there are around the country, there's a few 20-mile races that are kind of, a lot of people do them. I think there's one in Ashby, which is incredibly fun to say, Ashby de la Zouche, which I think is Leicestershire, maybe, or Derbyshire. I think it's Leicestershire. And I think a lot of people will do that because that's a good 20 to do. Tommy D, who is a listener of the podcast, who did really well at Manchester. I'm pretty sure he did one in Kingston, at Kingston upon Thames, I think.
Oh,
I
okay.
think there was
Yeah.
I think there was a 20-mile race there, which again falls in that sort of sweet spot for most of us that are training towards a spring marathon, and that was around about mid-March, I think. So yeah, but yeah, good things. Nothing but good things to say about the Fishing 20.
Yeah, definitely.
Then April came.
Yes.
Yeah, we both had quite. For me, I only did one race, which probably is not a bad idea. But my race was at the end of the month. My race was on the 28th of April. So I hit like a 3-week taper from the start of April. And just looking at my Strava here, I reduced my runs down to like 5 weeks, 3 weeks to go. 5 runs, 3 weeks to go. 4 runs with 2 weeks to go, and I did 3 runs with 1 week to go. So I was at one point I was doing 7 and 6 runs a week. So yeah, that was really nice. And then obviously Newport Marathon came, had a really good race. I managed to get around in 3:36. Massive PB for me. It was a 11-minute PB, 12-minute PB. So massively pleased with how it went. Managed to hold constant splits until the last 5K. Fell off the pace slightly, but I didn't fall off a cliff. And yeah, it was the one where Brett came and turned up and surprised me, which gave me the an extra bit of motivation. And yeah, just had a really good day out. The average pace I wanted was 4:59 a k, which is around about 8-minute miles, which gets you in at around about 3:30. But I ended up getting a Strava anyway pace. I got 5:04 so only 5 seconds off the pace, but I think it's about 8:10, 8:15 a mile. So still got some work to do to get under the 3:30, but just a really good day out. Really memorable race. Although we didn't really love the course and they had some problems, but you know, thinking back now, it's all said and done. I was so pleased with the prep that went into it, and the race just seemed to go really well. I had a great weekend away as well down in South Wales. Yeah, so just good times. When I think back to late April, just nothing but good times.
Wicked. Yeah, and yeah, as you say, my only race in April came on the 14th, so halfway through the month. I started my taper after the Fishing 20, did 3-week taper, and then Manchester came, and I've got to say, I think Manchester is the race I'm most proud of so far, just from the way that I ran it. I have never got to the end of a marathon and felt strong so I could push to the finish. It was always limp over the finish line, especially in 2023 at Manchester.
Yeah.
It was very much limp over the finish line and try and get under that 3-hour thing. But the fact that I managed to finish so strong and my splits were pretty consistent throughout the whole race. The only point where I slowed down slightly was at 20 mile. I wanted to kick on, so I kicked on for the next mile and then started to feel a little bit of cramp coming on, so eased up ever so slightly. But yeah.
Have you got your splits in front of you?
I have, yes.
For anyone watching, can you just show those splits? Look how sexy they look. That is like marathon running. You know, that is how you would want to run. I mean, for 20, 21, 22 miles by looks of things, you were 3 seconds either side of target pace, which is like ridiculous pacing. Like you say, miles 21 to 25 looks like slightly off the pace, but look at that finish.
Yeah. So yeah, my target was 6:40 a mile. And I mean, mile 22 was a 6:46, mile 23 was a 6:50, 24 was a 6:42, so I got back up to more or less pace then, and then I did a 6:47 on 25, back up to a 6:42 for 26, and then 6:15 pace to the finish. So I was super happy with how that went.
Amazing.
and yeah, to come across the line at my target time of 2:55, yeah, yeah, mega happy.
You're really good at. You seem to be really good at hitting targets and making sure you hit target. Like you're quite disciplined when it comes to what goes in to training, I think. And when you look at, you've obviously done which we'll talk about what happened the month after with your half marathons, and obviously your marathon, you executed it basically right on. You got it bang on the money, didn't you? So you're really good. I'm getting there. I mean, I wanted a 3:30. It didn't help me because from the start, I was a bit like, oh, I don't really know what time I'm going for. And I only really decided what I wanted week 14 or 15. But I think you're really good at setting out an ambitious target and hitting it. And I think that's really inspiring to see people do that. And you must be mega proud of yourself for doing it.
Yeah, I really am. I like to set targets which are challenging but realistic. I don't want to put out into the ether that I'm going to try and go for this crazy target which I've got no chance of hitting. I want one that's going to push me to my limits but is within reach. So yeah, I mean, last year that sub 3 was a wild target in my head. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, and the fact that I did was amazing. Whereas this year, I really wanted to push myself, but not go, oh well, I've done 3 now. I should be able to do a 2:45 or anything like that. I wanted to make it realistic, and it was go out and get that done.
Yeah, because we've said this time and time again, we're not full timers. We can't dedicate every minute of every day to training like a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people, but some people who have the luxury of doing that can do. But when you've got normal busy lives, working lives, you just do as much as you can. And I think you in particular are really good at managing your training time because you obviously prioritize your S&C. You prioritize your sessions and your easy runs, and you make sure nothing gets left out, if you know what I mean. I think that's really, really showing people you can have a work life, a social life, but you can also train for things and you can push yourself and you can get results. So massive kudos from me from that.
Cheers,
but May, the marathons were done for both of us. I only raced once because May turned into a bit of a shite show for me towards the end because I ended up getting COVID when I got back off holiday. But before that, the week after, a bit like what we said earlier with Rich, the Birmingham 10K, I raced the Birmingham Half because I love that race. I've done it three or four times now, and I just think it's a wicked race, organised by the Great North Run organisers. It's a great run event, and I did it 7 days after the marathon. I think I did it in my fourth ever fastest time, and I got a 1:42, which I'm mega pleased with. And I remember, I can't remember my strategy on the day, just looking at my splits. No, there was no strategy because my splits are just wild cards. But I think I just tried to stay below marathon pace looking at this, which I managed to do. So I finished the race quicker than marathon pace, even though I'd run half of it. That's it. I think what I wanted to do was run a faster half than the half I'd run previously in the marathon. So I wanted to run below marathon pace, which I managed to do. So 1:42, PB's 1:35, so still nowhere near. But really pleased with that. It was a great day, wasn't it? It's nice and hot.
Yeah,
but not too hot. But it's just a good atmosphere that day because it brings out the real fun of Birmingham, doesn't it? It really brought out the supporters and and there was a good atmosphere on the day.
It's such a good race. Great run. Really know how to organise a good race and a good atmosphere and spirit. I said on my video the only letdown of Birmingham Half is the finish area in Smithfield because it looks like looks like a war-torn country when you actually get away from where all the runners are. It's just a bit of a barren bit of land, isn't it, that they take over. I can understand why they use it, but it's just not the prettiest. If they tidied it up a bit, it might look a bit better. But at the race in itself, is wicked. There's good support all the way around. It's not an easy course. It's a tough course, but yeah, it's a good one.
Are you listening, Jasmine? Jasmine Paris, come and do the Birmingham Half Marathon. If you think you're so tough, you wouldn't last a second. You wouldn't even be able to do the first 10K. You wouldn't even be able to do the Pershore Road bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've just got the elevation up, and I mean, there's only 417 foot of elevation gain, but there are some spicy little bits at the start, and then that one halfway.
Yeah. You feel that, don't you? That one at 10 mile or whatever it is, 8-9 miles. Yeah.
But I set out, so I had a complete week off after Manchester, and then it was focus on trying to keep that marathon fitness, but try and get a little bit more speed in the legs ready for Birmingham to try and go for a PB. I really wanted to break 80 minutes, so 1 hour 20, and I somehow managed to run at Birmingham a 1:19:10, and I was super happy with that. To smash like over 2 minutes off my PB was incredible, and I showed how happy I was whilst running down the finish straight and just manically laughing at myself as I was running to the finish.
That was an iconic bit of Brett Elsmore footage. That was just laughing to yourself like a crazed madman. It was brilliant.
But yeah, so that was an amazing day. I was well happy with that. So I broke 1:20 for the first time, which was incredible. 79 minutes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it's mad.
Because there must have been, I don't know, 10,000 people there on the day. Do you remember where you placed?
I was overall, I came 27th.
That is mad, isn't it? I bet you think, when you first started running, like, oh man, imagine like finishing in like double figures in a race. But now here you are, finishing 27th in like one of the country's biggest half marathons. It's incredible. It's massive. And I wonder if part of your success that day was obviously the marathon block you'd done before, and the marathon went really well. But do you think because it was such a big race, there was big race energy about it, and there were fast runners running alongside you?
Yeah, well, a lot of the race I ran on my own.
Oh wow!
It's because when you think about it, up the front it gets quite spread out, and it gets quite lonely up front. So but there was always somebody in sight distance away to chase. So it's always good to have those targets to like go for up ahead. That's that. I'm still mega happy. I actually came second in my age group as well, which is crazy.
Amazing. That's incredible. So, that must go down as one of your. I know Manchester the month before was pretty mega, but I'm sure that Birmingham 2024 is going to be memorable for very similar reasons.
But breaking 1:20 for the first time. He's going to be very very memorable. And then the second race I did in May was the Cotswold Healy 100. Which was a 100-mile relay for 10 runners in each club. And I did the final leg. I did leg 10, which ended up being just over 10 mile. But I did in an hour and 50 seconds. So didn't quite break that hour barrier, which I wanted to, but it's not called the Hilly 100 for no reason. It was hilly. But yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah. So would you do that again? Would you like to make that a yearly thing in your calendar?
Yeah. So B and R do it every year and put together at least one team. We had 2 teams this year. We had a men's team and then we had a mixed team. But everybody always tries to do different legs each year. And there's people in the club who are like, oh yeah, I've done 9 of the 10 legs, so I've only got 1 leg to do. And they try to do it each year so they can do every leg.
So how many races have you done? How many Hilly 100s have you done?
I've only done it once. That was the first time I've ever done it.
That was your debut, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, and looking forward to seeing the video of it. Or have you posted it yet?
No,
you haven't done. No. Yeah, you're on hiatus since the marathon, aren't you?
Yeah. Birmingham was my last video. So
after Birmingham, yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to an avalanche of Ellesmere videos that will hopefully be coming soon.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So yeah, that moves us on to the last month of the first half, which is June, which we've just moved out of. Now, looking at my race calendar, considering I spent most of it, in the sick bay, I did 3 races. I did one that I definitely probably shouldn't have done. No, actually, I'm glad I did, which was the 2 castles, which was at the start. That was June the 9th. And I watched it. I watched that video back recently, and I sounded so bad. You can just hear illness in your voice.
Yeah.
I sounded so rough. And I remember feeling, I think you tell yourself sometimes you're not as ill as you think you are, especially when you've paid for a race and you've been looking forward to it all year. Because the 2 castles, it's fair to say, is one that you look forward to, isn't it? It's not just a race you treat as a training run. It's one you really, really want to enjoy and do well as you can. So the 2 castles 10K is from Warwick Castle to Kenilworth Castle, and it's basically 6 miles uphill, and it's a point-to-point race that is net uphill, and it's really well supported. That for a small 10K, and there's no half marathon option or marathon or 5K option. It's just a 10K. It's a big race, isn't it? And it's got a lot of local acclaim. There's a lot of running clubs that get involved. There's I think it might be getting taken over maybe next year. I read by one of it might not be the Rotary Club's gig anymore, but that might be I don't know. I did read that someone is looking at maybe taking the reins, because I think they do everything by paper, don't they? They literally are really old school the way they do it.
Yeah,
the Rotary Club, like they're.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's a charity race, so they do other than the costs to put it on, all the rest of the money goes to charity.
Or maybe I don't mean like Run Through are going to take it over or anything. I think what I read was that a local running club are going to be brought in to help facilitate it, and maybe help volunteer.
Because I'm sure Kenilworth runners help organise it anyway.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure that's who I'm talking about. So maybe that's old news then. Maybe they already do that.
Yeah. But, I'm sure they help organise it anyway.
But because at the moment it's done by the Rotary Club, isn't it? And they're not exactly at the forefront of technology with their with the way they do the race. But the race itself is really good, and it's obviously got tons and tons of history and tradition attached to it.
To start in Warwick Castle grounds is amazing, and then to finish in the grounds of Kenilworth. Well, where was a castle.
Yeah, looks like the ruins, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I ran that race. I treated it as a progression attempt because I hadn't really done since on my holiday, which I was feeling really good on, by the way. As soon as I came back off it, I just got sick for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then getting back into the runs. I think that race was the race.
Them stakes, you it.
It's all the stakes, 6 stakes, Andy, and I did the race actually quite well, considering I was not too well. So that's my staircase. So
Excellent.
I started out fairly easy, and just every kilometer I just pushed about 10 seconds faster than the previous one, which was all going really well until the 10th K, and I just couldn't push the 5K pace. Even for a K, I couldn't get beyond 10K pace actually. But I managed to do some sort of little sprint finish for the last 100 meters. And I got over the line in 51 minutes, again, which is seven minutes beyond slower than my PB. I knew I wouldn't get anywhere near a PB that day without even being ill, because it's a difficult course. But plenty of people do PB on that. For example, someone who listens to the podcast who's just told me he's caught up to episode 18, so he must be binge listening to this podcast. He's called Dave Rowbottom, and I think he's a Massey runner from Coventry.
Yes,
they've got the red and white checkered
vest.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking his Instagram is Run Like a T-Rex?
That's exactly him. Yeah. So he started a YouTube channel documenting his own journey, and he ran the race as well. And we had a chat at the end, and I think he did a PB on that day as well. So and I remember going, "How'd you do that?" Like, it's who gets a PB on that course? It's like, imagine a roller coaster. Imagine getting a PB up a roller coaster, but running the roller coaster instead of being on the roller coaster. So big hills, but he did really well. So that's how it went for me. And then apart from that, I did my trail race on the south coast in Jurassic Park on the Jurassic coast with Daisy. She made a debut, which was wicked. And we had 10 miles, 9 miles of just sunny, summery, windy trails. And as I mentioned on a couple of podcasts ago, the Maverick race organizers, I will definitely do another race, because you can wear the Adidas Terex trainers to run in. And it's just there's like pizza vans afterwards, coffee. It's just a really nice sort of atmosphere to start and finish a race from. And very often they're in really nice, beautiful parts of the UK. So
nice.
Yeah, and then apart from that, we're going to talk about Droitwich as well, which was the final one of June, which we did last week.
And I know it wasn't a race, but you did do your Cotswold Way as well.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah. Ran 100 mile in between the Jurassic Park and Droitwich. So I bet Jasmine Paris couldn't do that. So it was 100 miles over 3 days. And it was brilliant. It was really, really good fun. So let's call it the Cotswold Marathons rather than the Cotswold Way attempt. So I did a 3-day attempt. I did 60K, 55, and then 52. And I'm pleased to say, depending on when you're listening to this, for Dave, Run Like a T-Rex, he's probably listening to this in February next year. I'm actually going to be releasing these videos in the next couple of days, which I'm really pleased to. I can't wait to get them out, because I'm really proud of them. And there's 3 videos, half an hour each. Hopefully, you'll watch it to the end each day, because I think they're quite good. But apart from that, that was June. That's how June looked for me.
Nice. Looking forward to watching those and binging them like a Netflix documentary.
Hopefully, hopefully you'll enjoy them.
Yeah, amazing. So June was a busy month for me. Started off with the 2 castles, which was awesome. Managed to get a course PB, not a PB, but a course PB, nice. And break 37 minutes there. So I did 36:58, which I was quite happy with. And then a few days later, on the Wednesday of the next week, I then did the Vets League 3,000 meters, which is where I tried to break 10 minutes and got so close. I did I think I did an 8-second PB, but I did 10 minutes and 3 seconds. So that's one of the next targets for the rest of the year, is to break that 10-minute barrier. And then at the end of that week, so within 8 days, I did 3 races. I did on the 16th of June, I did Redditch Half, which was an interesting one of laps and laps and laps of the lake, 6 laps in total. But I managed to break 1 hour 20 for the second time. So I did a 1:19.19. So 9 seconds off my PB on a lapped course with lots of people in the way. So I was, super, super happy with that. And then after that, I was thinking about either doing the Whittle 10K or the Leamington Spa half, but I just put my sensible head on and went, don't race this weekend. You've got another race coming up the weekend after, so just don't do it. So decided to take an easy week. And then, we ended up at the end of June, on the last day of June, me and you went over to Droitwich, to Churchfield Farm, and did the Droitwich Half, which was supposed to be in March, but got postponed because of the car parking getting flooded. But so they rearranged it for the 30th of June.
It was well, I was going to say, before we talk about the race, because it was hard, we met a few people there, didn't we? There was indeed. There was quite a few people that we know that did it, which were who everyone had hard days at the office because it's not an easy race. So amongst other people we saw, we raced with the two brothers, Sam and Ben Bauer, and Lou, who did the actual 10K option, because it was a 10K then. Big shout out to my Worcester neighbour, Kieran Deegan, who won the 10K.
Yeah, great work, Kieran.
So he won the 10K, which I'm sure we did the half, but I imagine the 10K was very similarly difficult as well. Donato, who I'm sure most of you will know from YouTube as well, he also did the 10K and did really well as well. I'm not sure on his time, but I know he did well as well. Who else was there?
Old Mom was there.
Oh, Mom was there. Yes, of course, he did the half. Yep.
It
was always good to chat to catch up with Mom.
And then Carl Quiney was there. KQ on the run rather than TQ. KQ on the run was there.
Because TQ instead of TQ on the run, it was TQ on holiday. Because he was in Ibiza.
Ibiza, TQ on the Raz.
TQ on the lash. So fair play to KQ. Carl came and said hello, and by the way, it was like a celebrity walking into Droitwich, wasn't it? He was perfectly manscaped, perfectly smelled incredible.
I couldn't believe, right? We finished the race, so I was coming in to finish the race, and he came in just before me. I was coming in to finish the race, and he was cheering me on down the finish. And he then, after I finished, I was looking like an absolute sweaty mess, chatting to Donato. And then round the corner, Cole comes walking towards us, and it looked like he'd not run anything. He looked like his hair, not a hair was out of place. He just looked perfect. He'd got like a new t-shirt on, but just looked like perfect. Like not even a bead of sweat, not even a slight bit of redness in his face. Just looked
unbelievable.
It was amazing. So
what an athlete. Nice guy though, really good lad. Nice to meet you, Carl. And we met some other folk as well, didn't we?
And Molly from B&R was there. I didn't think anyone from B&R was running, but I should have realised any local race, Molly's going to be there. So Rob Mole was racing as well. But it was a really good day, and seeing all those people, and obviously a few other people came and said hello. I didn't catch everybody's name and stuff, but it was really good. Good day.
Before you talk about how it went for you, I'll quickly say how it went for me, because again, I was not racing this race. I actually signed up to it on the Thursday because I got massive Droitwich FOMO and just thought, I've got to do this race because it's only up the road. It's only 6 miles away from where I live. So I've got to do it. There were still places available. So signed myself up, and I'm glad I did. Got on the start line and wished I hadn't. because I put my Vaporflies on because I didn't know what shoes to wear, because I was aware that I wanted to race to run the race but not race the race. But I thought, well, if I wear my Vaporflies, I thought, well, maybe they'll take some of the pressure off and some of the effort. They'll reduce the effort for me a little bit. But then I forgot to take into consideration that I do actually need to bring the effort for the shoes to really operate at their best. So basically, I ended up just feeling like I was going flat out, which I wasn't. I actually finished the race in 1 hour 51. So 10 minutes slower than Birmingham, 15 minutes slower than my PB. But again, it felt so tough. And I think it's because I maybe had the Cotswolds 100 miles in my legs from the week before. And, I just found the whole thing really, really tough. But I managed to get finished. And my plan was start out easy 5K. Then we'll do 10K at a steady sort of pace. And then we'll push the last 5K. And I sort of managed to negative split it. I sort of got a bit of nice. A sort of progression in there.
Yeah.
But I just found it in really, really tough. So, again, I would openly like to invite Jasmine Paris to come and do it and see if she thinks that it's harder, because I'm sure she will agree with us that it is definitely harder than the Barkley marathons.
Yeah. But yeah, I went out there and I'm a little bit annoyed and disappointed, because the Droitwich Half is always the Worcestershire half marathon county champs.
Yeah.
So anybody who's a Worcestershire-based club runner gets entered into the Worcestershire half marathon champs if they enter that race. So the main reason I didn't cancel my place at Droitwich was because it was the Worcestershire champs. And on the flyer and the poster, it still said on the new June date, it was still the Worcestershire half marathon champs. But apparently they decided to not do the Worcestershire champs. So I went there with the idea of racing and running it as fast as I could. And did go out and run it as fast as I could. And then when I crossed the finish line, I asked about the Worcestershire champs, and he went, "Oh yeah, we decided not to do that."
Cheers, guys! Cheers for the heads up.
Cheers. That was the only reason I came to race this, because I already had a really busy June. I was like, I don't really want to race another race in June, but I'm going to, because it's the Worcestershire champs and there's county medals up for grabs. And they decided not to, but not tell us beforehand. Tell us after we'd finished, which was nice of them.
Yeah.
But oh well. But yeah, I did go out and try to race it as hard as I could. And I'm not sure how, because it was a stupidly tough course. But I managed to break 120 for the third time this year.
Amazing.
So I ran a 1:19:46, which I am super, super happy with on that course, to be able to run that time. I don't know quite how I did it, but I came in third place, just behind Carl. Well, I say just behind, over a minute behind Carl. So not just behind at all. He was off. But it was crazy, because we set off from the start, and I was like, right, I'm going to go for this. And I was pushing on that first mile, and Carl and the guy who came in first, they just disappeared off into the distance. And I was like, I have no clue how they are running that pace at all. They disappeared. So basically, they went off into the distance. I had a look around and couldn't see anyone behind me. So I just basically ran a time trial for a half marathon around Droitwich.
Just trying to hold on to those 6 minute.
Yeah. So just trying to keep as close to 6. I mean, 120 pace is 6:04 a mile. So trying to keep as
Yeah.
close to that as I could.
Yeah.
But what am I looking for? I am looking for the this. Yeah, so the guy who won it, lad called Max Parker from Hales Owen. My God, he was flying. He ran a
Yeah.
110, which is crazy around that course.
Sickening, isn't it? That?
Yeah, and then Carl, he ran a 1:18:01, so very close to breaking 1:18 on that course,
Oh yeah.
which is crazy, crazy fast. So he was like, because I ran 1:19:46, so he was like almost 2 minutes in front of me. So there was a
Yeah.
there was what, 8 minutes gap between first and second,
Yeah.
a 2 minute gap between me and Carl in second and third, and then the guy who came in fourth ran a 1:27:35. So there was another 8 minutes between me and fourth place.
Weren't you constantly going to the marshals? It's fourth behind me. How close is he? How close? I can hear him. I can smell him. Where is he? Where is he?
Yeah, I must have asked about 5 different marshals. Can you see fourth place behind me? And they were like, can't see anyone, mate. Can't see anyone. And it's because he was 8 minutes behind.
Yeah.
So basically, us three up front basically ran time trials because there wasn't really anybody to race because we were all running our own race in our own little world, which made it a little bit harder. But yeah, super happy with my result to run a 1:19 on that hilly course. Yeah, well happy.
Amazing. Yeah, that was a really good performance from you because it was such a. There was a part of the course called Jacob's Ladder, and they'd written it on the notice board when we first arrived. I remember reading it, thinking that's normally associated with mountains like Jacob's Ladder. There's one at Penifan.
Yeah.
There's one on one in the Peak District, I think. I don't thinking that doesn't sound good. Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah,
that sounds really bad.
And was that the one at mile 10? That we
the one that just didn't end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to mile 10 and I got my camera, pointed it at me, and I thought, right, I'm going to do my classic, only a park run to go.
Yeah.
Because we'd reached mile 10. Got to mile 10 and started climbing up this hill, and I just went, nope, and put the camera away. Put it back into my hand and just got my arms going because that hill was horrendous. I thought, I can't speak into the camera whilst going up this hill. So I just didn't bother.
It was the one with snow on top.
But there were some very spicy hills. And the fact that we left Churchfield Farm and went down a really steep hill, and I thought, we're going to have to go back up that at the end. So every hill you were going down, you were like, I'm going to have to go back up that.
Yeah. It was
you really basically ran the course and then reversed on yourself, didn't you, and ran it backwards.
So every nice downhill that you enjoyed, don't get too happy, mate, because you're going to turn around in a minute and run back up it.
Yeah.
So, but it was good fun though, wasn't it? It was a nice. It
was really good
race. Not too many people doing it, and it's good. Nice to have a coffee afterwards, wasn't it? And it was good. It was an enjoyable day out. Yeah. And I think that brings us up to June, doesn't it? That brings us up to the end of June.
That is brings us up to date. But I still will say, Droitwich, I wanted my county medal, but never mind.
Bit disappointing.
It'd just be nice if they'd let us know before. If I'd have known, that wouldn't have been such a but no, never mind. Anyway, so what I was going to ask you is, to date in 2024, what's your mileage up to? What have you run to date so far?
How do I know? This week, distance.
Go to your Strava profile. Go to you, the U section.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got it.
Distance to date.
So this year I have run 1,686 kilometers, which I imagine is just over 1,000 miles. Does that sound about right?
I'm going to have a look on mine at you and see what we've got mileage wise. There you are. So I'll see it in mileage. You've done 1,047.6 miles,
I'll take that.
which is, it's pretty good.
I did 100 of them last week. In 3 days. Yeah.
I know. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I am currently to date, so we've just broke halfway through the year, and I am now on 1,514 miles for the year.
Oh, wow. You can easily hit the 3,000, can't you?
So I could
not easily, but
no. So I could possibly hit 3,000 this year. I don't know, but
Hmm.
I know that I was on track to hit 3,000 last year, and then got injured at the end of the year, and I didn't hit that 3,000. So we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
Talking of mileage, I am conscious of time. Just to finish off this week, we have the Strava segment.
Yes.
So this is our Strava group or club that we have created, but also our little moment to mention anything that we've seen on Strava, which either we can get down with or winds us up. And my thing this week is something I can get down with, and it is Strava art. Those people who go out and draw pictures during their run. There's a couple around Redditch. I think there's one where it's I think there's a dog that people can draw on roads in Redditch, and I think there's also like a T-Rex or something like that people can run. And
Wicked.
Every time people do it, I just find it really really good fun that people have gone out to do that specific route just so they can draw a picture on their run.
That's pretty cool. I've never done it. I've tried it, actually, thinking about it, because I did some sort of challenge a couple of years ago when I had to draw a star. That was really, really difficult. But no, I've never done it. I think it's I think it would be really fun.
Well, maybe that's our bit of homework for this week, is to try and draw something on Strava so that we can show next week.
Yeah, okay. I could try and do that.
Cool. Have you seen anything that winds you up or you can get down with on Strava this week?
I'll be honest, I haven't. I don't think I've run this week. I think I've done more S&C than I've been done on Strava this week. I literally haven't been on Strava. I could quickly read out an email we had from Ryan Baker, who emailed in, who's Ryan from Rayleigh's Adventures.
Mention that as well.
He says, unknown Strava fact alert. You recently mentioned you wanted some exciting Strava tricks that not many people know about, and I may have a good one. If you go onto a run that other people within that group have also run, for example, a race, you can press a manage group and then physically shake your phone. A prompt will then appear showing, give kudos to athletes I follow, and also all athletes, just in case you wanted to like everyone's post simultaneously. Nice one, Ryan. I had no idea.
Makes things easy, doesn't it? Yeah, that does make things a lot easier. So if you go into any of your runs, it will have a little thing that says people who you've run with, even if you don't follow them, and you can tap on that and shake your phone, and it allows you to give everybody you follow or everybody that ran that same race kudos.
Well, have we got the Ukrainian guy still in our group?
Possibly. I haven't looked,
because we had some. He was doing well last time, wasn't he?
He was. Yes,
he's never heard of the podcast, but he's top of the league in the group.
But I was going to go to next to our Strava leaderboard in our club, and last week I got pipped to the post on our distance leaderboard. And when I was looking earlier, I went, huh? Because of how he has has topped the leaderboard. And our number one athlete from last week, from Sunday to Sunday, was at Freddie Runs.
Yes, Freddie.
Which is awesome. and he ran a total of 61.3 miles last week. But the bit that made me go, is he covered 61.3 miles over 2 runs. And I was like, what? And his longest run was 57.3 miles.
Wow.
So fair play, Freddie. What you said he did a specific race?
Yeah, he did I'm
do
pretty
that.
sure he did Endure 24, which is the laps.
Okay.
Do as many laps
That
as you
makes
can in the
sense.
24 hours. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's done well. He's 57 miles.
Yeah, for
Was that
that
what it was?
run, yeah.
That's an incredible achievement. So, Freddie,
Yeah.
looking forward to the
Amazing
video if
work,
it's not
Freddie.
already out. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, really well done. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in second place was me with 57.9. And in third place, taking the bronze medal, was Tommy D.
Tommy D. Good lad.
With 55.3 miles. But Tommy absolutely destroyed me with elevation, being in the Welsh valleys.
Yeah, he's in South Wales, isn't he?
Yeah, he's absolutely gone up some stupid amounts of hills where he is. So yeah, fair play. But
Again,
yes,
Jasmine, could you do it in South Wales? I highly doubt it. Barkley Marathons is flat compared to blooming Port Talbot and Swansea. Hey, Jasmine, you think you're hard doing your Barkley Marathons? Come to Droitwich.
What I will have a quick look for though is our top lady in our leaderboard, which was Lisa Thomas from BNR, who ran 37.3 miles. And I will be surprised if she's not near the top of next week's, because I do need to say best of luck to her and Rich from the club, who are at 10 p.m. tonight starting their 50-mile ultra.
Oh, wow.
So they're starting it tonight and running through the evening and into tomorrow. So
amazing.
Yeah, best of luck with that
good
one.
luck with that. Yeah, that sounds like loads of fun.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the Strava segment. And before we hit that 2-hour barrier, mate, I think we possibly need to wrap up as quick as possible. But to wrap up, we need to go back to your...
Hang on. Before we riddle me this and riddle me that, I've just got to mention this. I'm doing this next week. I've got my bib.
Oh, yes, you are.
So I'm doing my race to the Stones next week. But when we set off, there's a good chance that I'll be finishing in the dark. And I haven't done any training in the dark. So I'm going to do one run this week, about a 10K run. And similar to Lisa, I'm going to set off at about 10 o'clock at night. So I'm going to choose a relatively, temperate evening. And I'm going to go up on the Malverns. I'm going to scare myself shiteless. And I'm going to take my head torch and do some training in the dark, because I've never ever run a trail at night, without the safety of street lights or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to practice running in the dark. So I'm doing that. So, and as well, by the time we podcast next Friday, we might know if England are in the final, because there's a quarter-final Sunday against Switzerland, and then a semi-final midweek. So this time next week, we could be preparing for England in the final.
Yeah.
Probably not, though.
Talking about my football knowledge earlier, last night at club, we were having a bit of a chat about it and joking around. And we said Gareth Southgate might mix it up in this next game on... when we playing Saturday? Are we playing?
No, it is Saturday. Sorry, not Sunday.
Yeah,
it's Saturday. Yeah, 5 o'clock.
And we were saying he might mix it up even more, and this time play Saka in goal.
Could happen. It could happen.
He's played every other position, so why not?
Yeah, topical. That is true. He could do, but I just love the memes that are coming out about Gareth Southgate being really cautious and really
Yeah.
You know, him being like a real sort of boring guy. There is some of them I've read are so funny. Like one of them, they were saying like Gareth Southgate is the type of person that still takes a lateral flow test before he leaves the house. Some of them are just so funny. Oh, they're so funny. But yeah, come on, England. In Gareth we trust. I cannot. But did you watch the game, by the way? 1-0 down until the 95th minute.
Yeah.
Gareth, you idiot. What are you doing?
Jude. Yeah.
And then we end up winning the game and saying, Gareth Southgate, brilliant manager. Brilliant manager. Knows exactly what he's doing. Never doubted him.
Yeah.
Never doubted him.
He planned not to put those last 2 subs on so he could save them for extra time.
Exactly. He knows what he's doing. But yes, I think we should move on to the final bit of the episode, the Riddle Me This answer. What is stronger than steel but can't handle the sun?
Superman.
It's one of them. You'll kick yourself.
I probably will, yeah. I probably will. The dark side of the moon.
Should I tell you?
Yeah, go on.
What happens to water when it freezes?
Yeah, ice.
Ice. Did you get that at home? If you did, well done. You're as clever as me because I got the answer, but I did read it. But don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I got it straight away.
I got the answer by Googling it.
I got the answers straight away because I make the questions. So I've got the answers.
Right. So after that mammoth episode we have just done, we will call it there and say thank you so much for listening or watching. And yeah, we will see you next week. And hopefully England will be on their way to a final.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah. So cheers, guys. Come on, England.
Anybody got Jasmine Farris's number? We'll get her on next week.